Hey, you. Welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things work culture, leadership, and HR. I am Tirsa Hall, and if you are new to this channel, thank you for coming. I hope you stay. Be sure to like and subscribe so you are always in tune of all the new material that we're posting. And if you are a loyal follower, I am so grateful that you are still here on this journey with me. I appreciate you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Sending you love today. And this is going to be a great day. Now, what we're kicking off today, we are kicking off another episode of Tales of a Cryptic Work Culture. And boy, do I have a cryptic toxic situation for you. You're going to absolutely love. Have you ever had a boss that never took accountability for the things that they did wrong, but further to that, loaded them onto you, blaming you? Well, I'm telling you from now, this is your warning. You might be triggered in this story that we're going to be breaking down today. So, without further ado, are you guys ready? Let's get into it. So, I'm going to be reading the entire text conversation between the superior and employee, and then we're going to do our normal do, and we're going to dissect it after. Because the end goal is what? One, that if there is a leader here that doesn't realize they're toxic, they're going to watch this video and make the adjustments. And if there's an employee that's facing the scenario, they will know how to handle it. And that's my goal and my passion, that I would like to see healthy work cultures around. And the only way we're going to get healthy and get a good workplace going is all sides do what's necessary to create a harmonious culture. So let's get started. Boss, just had a meeting with a client. They pointed out several errors in your report. You made us look like a bunch of idiots. So good job there. Employee response, this is surprising to hear. I only used the data you sent me last night. You can see our email exchange at 9 p.m. last night for reference. What exactly were the errors? Boss, basically data all wrong and no double checking from you. To be honest, having it pointed out to me, not sure how you managed not to notice it. Employee response, I was using data that you provided at 9 p.m., 13 hours before the meeting. As they were your numbers, there was no indication to me that I needed to do further verification. Boss, as an employee, you work for me, not the other way around. Surprisingly, this means you have to make sure that things you do are actually correct and verify work. This kind of mistakes makes the entire department look bad. The audacity. Employee response, so are things you say now unverified? Good question. Boss, I think we should chat later about your attitude. Am I reading this? Maybe you remember who runs this company. Trying to blame other people for your own F-ups is not a great fit. Whoa. Whoa. This is crazy. Okay. Employee, right. I did my job as instructed. If the data was incorrect, I had no way of knowing that without guidance or clarification from you. I'm not the one shifting the blame here. If you're threatening to fire me, we both know these messages and emails you sent to me last night are enough to make hell for you with HR. Ooh, I genuinely don't need this job enough to put up with this nonsense. Whew, guys, getting hot in here. Boss, just make sure this never happens again. We'll discuss your performance later. Ooh. Employee, I'm letting you know that I have, in fact, just saved all of my emails from last night and screenshotted all the messages and sent them to John and CC HR, resigning, stating you as my reason for resignation. Please do not contact me ever again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a tale from a cryptic workplace. So let's dissect, shall we? All right, so let's get into it. One of the first things that I noticed is that you have a lot of passive aggressiveness happening. You have a lot of manipulation happening. And I would definitely say that as a certified master trainer, there is some need for leadership training because the communication skills and tactics and strategies used here in this communication was not becoming of a leader. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, the first thing is starting a conversation saying, "You made us look like a bunch of idiots, so good job there," tells me that the manager is not in the right temperament. There should have never been a discussion about performance if a manager has not assessed their own temperament and ensure that they're in the best mood to be able to communicate this. So it seems like it just happened, and this manager is just now offloading on the employee after feeling embarrassed from what happened in that particular meeting. That's definitely not where you want to go. You want to be able to separate yourself, step away from it, breathe, or woosah, like I would like to say, and then go back to your employee and have the conversation. I noticed that the information that was passed to the employee confirmed that it was given to them less than 24 hours before the event, and there was no communication that the data needed to be verified. I think the employee has a point here because if you are the leader and you're handing them data to use in a report, you need to communicate clearly and directly. This data needs to be verified. Please fact check this and then include this into the report. By not giving those details, the employee has every right to assume that as my superior, you're not going to hand me data that's incorrect, that's invalid, that has faults in it, and not give me a heads up. And if it wasn't, the manager needed to take the appropriate time and communicate clearly, this is the information that I would have needed. The next point is providing information to employees within reasonable time. Now, we have to be realistic here. In the working environment, sometimes we have some very last minute deadlines. And so we just have to make them happen and provide the work that's needed. So we can't really change how much in advance the employee would have been able to get the document. But to expect that the employee would have been able to generate the report and still have time to fact check or data check is not reasonable. That should have been factored in and considered within the time scope of what was actually being handed to that particular employee to complete. Let's talk about the legal implications. The employee recognizes that I did everything that I needed. I have proof of these conversations. I have proof of when I received the information. And the manager is not willing to take any accountability. This puts the employee into defense. And now that employee is saying, what options do I have to protect myself and to ensure that I am treated fairly? That employee brings to the intention of the manager that I'm going to pass this information to HR because what you're saying is now going to be on record. So the employee recognizes that the behavior is not appropriate and takes that step. And then the manager tries to flake it off and says, well, just make sure this never happens again. We'll discuss your performance later. Now, that is a cause of concern for me because we'll discuss your performance later gives the implication or the indication that this manager will later on somehow in evaluating the employee's performance rate that employee as unacceptable or not able to meet the performance standards. And that needs to be addressed right away. So I think the employee following up and saying that they will save the emails and forward those to HR with the proof of what was given and what was produced is the right thing to do, the smart thing to do, because that way, if there are any trends showing after this incident where there's performance decreasing for that employee, then HR can examine that and see if there's a case for any type of petty responses happening from the manager, meaning I'm going to get you back for embarrassing me or for getting me in trouble. HR can investigate that and ensure that everything that's coming from that manager with respect to the employees is fair and is on the right ground. So I think the employee did the right thing in terms of ensuring that. But let's take this a step further because the employee didn't just forward this information to HR. The employee resigned. In a lot of countries, not all countries, this is considered constructive dismissal. And a lot of employees tend to go to legal action after that. Even at-will employees will go the legal route and sue for wrongful termination from the perspective of I felt forced to resign because of the environment that I was being placed in. And this employee would have had all the data and the text messages to set as proof. So leaders need to be mindful of these situations when they're communicating. If you're communicating via text, make sure what you're communicating is appropriate and in line with the law, because it can in turn cost you later on or cost the organization that you work for and you don't want that to happen. So this conversation definitely toxic. Managers have to take responsibility for whatever happens. There's a higher level of accountability for you as a leader and what happens in your workspace. So if things go bad, you own it, but you sit down and have a conversation with your team members with respect to what might go wrong. In this scenario, it seemed like a lot of blaming happening, and the employee was all at fault, and there was nothing on the hands of the manager, and that creates a toxic environment. And I can only imagine, if this isn't resolved and there's no accountability, how that toxic nature is going to fester in that organization. So what do you think? Who do you think is in the wrong? Was it the manager? Was it the employee? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put it in the comments. And as always, it's great to sit down and talk to you. That was your episode of Tales of a Cryptic Work Culture. I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.